It's been a quiet fortnight for the smartphone world, livened up by not one but two quick updates to Android 4.4 KitKat, the main implication of which is that my Nexus 5 just got a big camera speed bump and a much louder speaker driver. It now matches the LG G2, which is as it should be since it's the same blinking component. Go Google! For those who love smartphone platform stats, the latest Kantar data was interesting, showing Android's dominance increasing in Europe in the last year by 6% to over 70% total, iOS dropping a full 5% to 16%, and Windows Phone up 5% to 10% market share. BlackBerry has had a horrible year and is down 3% at 2%, but I'll come back to BlackBerry in Phone Show 217. Well, Christmas seems to have come early this year, so here we go, a live unwrapping for you. What have we here? The Binatone brick. Look at that. Let's run down some of the specs. Works with any network provider. It's SIM-free. Access smartphone contacts and text messages via Bluetooth. 1 month standby time. Store 300 contacts on it. Play music through the loudspeaker. It even has a micro SD slot for your music and a hands-free speaker and a torch. It's the Binatone brick. Goodness me. And there we go, the Binatone brick. Oh, hang on a minute. There's no camera. Dang, and there was I going to use it as my main phone for a bit. Might be worth a novelty present for someone in your life, I guess, though they might prefer a Bluetooth speaker or a 5-pack of socks, or, well, basically anything. See what you think anyway, the Binatone brick. More interestingly, moving on, I've been slipped two large phones for review at either end of the price spectrum. This is the BlackBerry Z30, but its very existence somewhat depends on full working Android 4.x compatibility, and this is still in Q&A in BlackBerry, so I'm going to sit on this over Christmas and wait for the official OS update before I review it. Way down at the other end, retailing for about £180 SIM-free, sometimes less, £150 on pay-as-you-go, yet with a full 4.7-inch screen and 4G, is the decidedly interesting, at least from a value perspective, Nokia Lumia 625. It's the same Windows Phone 8 that I'm using every day, and this, the Lumia 1020, and almost the same applications run on it, and at very much the same speed. The only exceptions are some of the more ambitious games, such as Real Racing, but there are still plenty of other leisure titles that work perfectly. This is the wonderful International Snooker, for example. So it's got a large screen, 4G, and runs the full Windows Phone 8 almost as well as the flagships. What's the catch? There is only one actually, and that's the screen technology used. Think of something like the Samsung Galaxy S3, 720p, 4.8-inch Super AMOLED display. The cost of replacing that screen, if you smash it in a drop, is around £150 or so. In other words, the effective cost of that one screen component in the Galaxy S3 is as much as the entire smartphone in the case of the Lumia 625, which means that there are compromises. It's only WVGA, which is a bit blocky at 4.7 inches, though at least it's RGB and not pentile. It's LCD rather than AMOLED. There's no oleophobic layer, so fingerprints can be an issue, and there are no clear black display polarizers. A smartphone's display is its biggest expense, and here the screen has to fit the device price. In use, the screen's not immediately impressive, but then it's not poor either. You can see here, the average smartphone newcomer, and let's be fair, the 625 is aimed at such a person, probably won't know any different. And it's not as if the competition at this price point is much better. The one genuine competitor for the Lumia 625 is the brand new Motorola Moto G, which I reviewed in Phone Show 215. In its 16 gig version, it retails for much the same price as the Lumia 625, but you don't get the 625's micro SD expansion. The Moto G screen is smaller and you don't get 4G. Pros and cons for each. See this URL underneath for a head-to-head I did on the web recently. Components aren't too bad on the 625 otherwise, with a 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, half a gig of RAM, which is fine for most Windows Phone apps, an average speaker. Here's a demo, a bit of Dire Straits, trying to get myself pulled off YouTube. There's a rather average 5 megapixel camera. Here's a few still samples for you to look over. It's still a Nokia unit and also still capable of 1080p video capture, which is not bad at this price point, and a 2000 milliamp hour battery. This last brings me to the same rant I've had several times in the past year. Here we have a device again, with a removable back and a battery you can see and easily touch, yet which doesn't come out at all. It's sealed in plastic. Gah! Battery life does seem decent enough, helped by the fact that power users won't be at the helm here. Reckon on 2 days on a charge in typical use. The micro SD expansion works rather well as long as you just want it for media. Once you've told Windows Phone that you want to use the card once, every photo, every video, every music track gets routed there. 8 GB of mass memory only leaves you with 5 GB free out of the box, but you'd have to install a fair number of apps and games to fill this. The application loadout here is a very standard Nokia and Windows Phone with the Here navigation suite, the Nokia Express proxy web browser, and the new and rather excellent Nokia Mix Radio, free forever, plus the usual Windows Phone 8 highlights like Pocket Office, and all very responsive and very simple to use. It's hard to crash or slow down the OS, whatever your thoughts on the lack of third-party app multitasking. I did note the colour profiling and settings here. I don't tend to fiddle with this much on other Windows phones, but setting the colours to warm and vivid did seem to help here on the 625, especially with the brightness cranked up a bit for media and games. Look, the Lumia 625 is a solid, capable and really very cheap smartphone. Even given my misgivings about the sealed battery, I'm going to give it a recommendation. Not for you, avid phone show viewer, but for your kids, for your mum and dad, your technophobe friends, and it won't break anyone's bank along the way. Forgive me mentioning this 2 shows in a row, but Android has been moving fast. And I wanted to not only highlight that my aging but still unique Galaxy Nexus is now on Android 4.4.2, i.e. the same as the Nexus 5 mentioned in the news at the top of the show, but also how phenomenally useful the Cyanogen mod firmwares are. Ignore the ROM I mentioned in the last show. I realised that Cyanogen firmware has been one of the best kept secrets in the smartphone world, with only geeks really knowing about it or what to do with it. But once your phone has the Clockwork mod installed into its bootloader, I know Geeky Talk, see Phone Show 215 for more on this, you can flash across new versions of stock Android, lovingly compiled by the Cyanogen folk every night. I repeat, every night. They install in place without disturbing your data or apps at all. It's like having a brand new OS update every single morning. In fact, Cyanogen mod adds lots of little touches. Here's the lock screen options, for example, to stock Android without really ever breaking the stock feel. But I'll save that for another time. In the next phone show, this is Yola, a completely new OS, Sailfish, new smartphone OS and new concepts. I'll be reviewing it. Also, I'd like to wish you a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. Thanks if you've been supporting the phone show financially or just through goodwill or comments throughout 2013. See you next time.